Tim Petrowich is Marion Daily Republican here with Marion head football coach Kerry. Got a big game coming up in week 4, the Cahokia Comanches, but first, as normal, Coach, let's talk a little bit about last week's game. A pretty impressive 30-15 win over Harrisburg.
Yeah, we felt good about it. You know, Harrisburg's a good football team, and we had a good balanced game. Kids executed the game plan about as well as we could expect, and we got away with a good win against a strong team.
You ran the ball particularly well, almost 300 yards in rushing against a team that has been pretty good against the run.
Yeah, our offensive line did a great job, and the kids, you know, ran the ball well. They ran our zone scheme pretty strong, and I just, again, compliment Coach Skeet and the offensive line for doing a really good job of preparing us, and we got a good look from our scout team all week long, and, you know, it's always good to rush for that many yards, but when you do it against a good football team, it feels really satisfying.
4 different backs with 40 or more yards. You know, Zach Irwin, you kind of expect that. Aaron McFadden's really coming on, Torin, but I think that probably the biggest and most pleasant surprise was Holden Reel.
Yeah, Holden is, he's had a really good summer and a good camp for us. We're trying to get him on the field more, you know, as part of that backfield by committee, and Holden did Friday what he does in practice a lot. He's kind of a big play player, and he made a nice long run off a great cut, and you know, he just continues to get better and better. He's as improved player as we have on this football team from a year ago. He didn't play much at all last year, of course, varsity-wise, and was a sophomore player, and boy, he has stepped right up now. He's really developed physically, and he's a good football player.
All the running kind of overshadowed the performance by Dalton Robertson, his first game back. We had him unofficially 9 for 10 for 122 yards. Not a bad first outing.
No, he had a great night, and you know, I like the way he managed the offense more than anything else, and I like the way his composure was great. He made good decisions. There were times he could have taken a chance and thrown the ball into coverage with people, you know, little windows of coverage there, but you know, he chose to run the ball out of bounds, and just, I thought, made good decisions and kept our offense going and kept moving the chains, and we wanted to keep their offensive unit off the field as much as we could and keep their defense on the field and try to wear them down, and Dalton did that.
As I said, big game Friday night. You open the conference against a team that's probably the favorite to win the conference, Cahokia. Cahokia is ranked 2nd in the state in Class 5A, and of course, when you mention the Cahokia Comanches, people always think of their quarterback, Patrick Ivy.
Yeah, you know, he's a fabulous football player. You know, he's got a lot of skills. He's got a great arm. He's got great feet. He you know, we watched him last year on film scouting him, and he was making great decisions, throwing to hot receivers against certain coverages, and he's really, I think, taken their program to a new level, maybe a different level is a better way to say it. I think they're used to be a pretty much ball control, run the ball, use their speed, get on the outside a little bit. He's now given them a vertical stretch, and something I haven't seen since I've been here, and now they've got a vertical stretch to their offense, so it makes them even more dangerous to cover.
You'll probably be glad when he's gone.
Can't wait. I may attend his graduation ceremony. He's a special player, and I know he'll play beyond the high school level, but he's got all kinds of skill, and Coach Galladay's done a good job of you know, taking his abilities and kind of molding the offense around what he can do well.
Well, not only do they have him, but they've got 2 receivers who I think have already signed Division I scholarship offers. So they've got the people to go with him, which makes that offense that much more dangerous.
We said that last year. It wasn't just that he was making the throws. They would catch the balls and he was throwing. He was making some really tough throws into coverage, and they were coming away from the ball. And so, yeah, I mean, you've got to have the protection up front. You've got to have the kid that can deliver the ball, and you've got to have kids that can catch it. And so far, they've proven that the last 2 years.
Last year they had 2 fairly decisive wins against you, one in the regular season, one in the playoffs. Obviously, you'd like to think you're a better football club this year than you were last year. I think you've showed that so far. What about Cahokia? Are they better than they were last year?
Well, it's hard to tell. You know, I know that at the skill positions, I think they consider themselves as good or better than a year ago. You know, we won't know about their kids up front until, of course, we play a game against them. They've still got good size up front. They look very athletic. But I thought they were pretty special on their defensive line last year. I mean, that was as good a defensive line as I've ever coached against, with a combination of size and speed and athleticism. So that was a pretty special group. So I don't know that you could expect them to be, you know, as dominant up front, but I know they're good again. I've watched them on film, and they're a solid football team. Not a lot of weaknesses out there. It's going to take a really solid performance by us. Again, we're going to try to keep this thing as close as we can, as long as we can, and try to win this ball game late.
you've been able to shut down opposing teams' running games. And this week coming in, Cahokia has 10 touchdowns so far this season. 8 of them have been by passing.
Yeah.
So how do you attack the passing game, and what's your plan there?
Well, we've got some different schemes. We're going to try to give them some different looks, and I don't think against Patrick Ivy you can sit in one coverage all night long. He's going to find a way to make you pay for it. So you got to mix up your coverages, and you got to mix up your stunts, and you've got to do some different things. And the other thing you've got to account for his scrambling ability, which you saw last year. We did put some heat on him, and we had some pressure on him, but he's very elusive. And so then it becomes a wild card situation where the routes break down, the kids start working back towards him, and sometimes big plays come out of that. So they produce a whole lot of problems for him, but I feel like we're a better prepared team this year than we were a year ago because maybe of the experience we have on defense this year.
Offensively, you're probably better than you were last year. You were able to move the ball against them last year, but a play here and a play there would stall a drive, and so you couldn't get points on the board.
That's exactly right, and we've been watching the films from last year's games, and there was just inconsistency, and a lot of that's due to their abilities. I mean, you can't just go by the fact that it's we're breaking down offensively. Sometimes they're causing that, but I really feel like if we can be more consistent, make a few more plays here and there, we can have a much better offensive performance at showing than we did a year ago.
You've always, up until last year, the games have always been really close.
Yep.
Last-minute games sometimes. I'm sure that's what you're looking for again this year.
Absolutely. You're right. The first 5 or 6 years against them, we won one and lost, I think, 5 close games, maybe 4 close games we lost. One of them in double overtime. We had a knack for playing them tough, and Antoine and I have talked about that. And then last year we didn't play as well. The playoff game, we played very well early, and they kind of wore us down later on. But I feel like we're a little better football team, and again, I don't know where they're at as far as better or worse than last year. I know they're very good, but I'm hoping that us being better on both sides of the ball in the special teams game, hopefully we can show some improvement, stay in the game, and like I said, have a chance to win it late.
I have to ask you this question. You're on the road again. Wildcats have counting the playoffs last year, a 7-game road winning streak. Does that surprise you a little bit?
Well, we're comfortable on the road, and we love playing at home, and we would prefer, of course, to play at home. But to be honest with you, we never really talk about being a road team or playing on the road. It's a natural part of the game. It's like playing in bad weather or cold weather or anything else. It's nothing you can change. You just got to do it. So our kids have grown accustomed to the routine we've developed playing on the road, and they just have a knack for playing well on it. They seem to go in prepared. I think we've used the bus rides to our advantage a little bit to get the kids mentally prepared by watching some film, and I think a lot of it's routine. We have a good routine for traveling, and the coaching staff has done a good job. And the last thing I'll say about that is we've had such great fans that no matter where we've gone, whether it's Heron or Harrisburg or even all the way up to Granite City, we get enough fans there where it feels like a home atmosphere for us sometimes, and that's a real tribute to the great fans that we've got, the parents that we've got. I think more than anything else, I think sometimes once you get your players on that sideline and you get the crowd there, it's a home game to us.
Getting a few players back this week?
Yeah, Nick Hudson's back some. He's still healing. He looks better. Cam Morella's back. So we're, other than Tyler Wolves and Terranius, we're about as healthy as we've been at this point in the season.
Anything else you want to add about the Cahokia game?
No, just excited. I hope a lot of people will make the trip up to help us out and cheer us on. And so far, so good. We just want to keep it rolling.
All right, we'll see you Friday night.
Sounds good.
Marion coach Kerry Martin. I'm Tim Petrowich for the Marion Daily Republican.